Hey y'all, welcome back to The Composed Artist. I'm your host, Stephanie Gaffney, and I recently had a baby. Yay! I have been obviously awaiting the arrival of our fourth child, our first little boy. We have three girls and now we have a boy. His name is Michael, and he was born in September. I was pregnant forever and a day. He was 2 weeks late, so I feel like I was pregnant for an entire year. Oh my goodness. But I have been anxiously awaiting his arrival, and then he was born, and then 7 weeks have gone by, and I've been wanting to record this particular episode of the podcast to kind of give you a little bit of the story, not like the birth story. This isn't a birth story episode. This is a what it's been like not only this past year but the past 7 years of my life, working full time as an artist, now an artist, a traveling painter, podcast host, online course host, educator, all the things regarding the work that I do, and also a full time mom, not only just to a kid, but now four kids. And it has been a whirlwind, and my life, it looks different than other people's lives, I'm sure, but I've been asked, how do you do it all? What's it look like? How do you travel? Who's home with your kids right now? And I just want to answer some of those questions and maybe offer some insight or advice for women who, if you're listening and you're a lady and you are entertaining the idea of having kids in the future, starting a family, and you're not quite sure how you're going to do it and continue doing this line of work as a live wedding painter. I've done it. I've done it for now. My oldest is 6, so 7 years. And I just want to kind of talk about it. So that's what we're going to be doing in this episode of the podcast today. So if you have no interest in family planning or, juggling family, motherhood, work, business, then maybe you won't be interested in this episode, but I'll try to make it fun. So stick around. So let's get started. I wasn't really sure how to start this episode, or like even how far back to go, but I want to talk about the first time I got pregnant and where I was in my career and what that looked like. Okay, so I got married. My very first wedding painting was in 2015, and it kind of snowballed from there. I got busier and booked more and more weddings, obviously, and then I started traveling a lot in 2019. My website was doing really well on Google. My SEO manager, Stephanie Morris, I will link to her website here. She's got a ton of free resources if you want to learn more about SEO and how to optimize your website. But anyway, she really did a good job optimizing my website. And so it took off on Google, and then I was able to start traveling a lot more. This was around 2019. I got married in 2018, and we got pregnant within like 3 months. We were ready to start a family right away. I wasn't sure if I should have at the time. I knew I wanted to start a family. And when you do that, you really have to look ahead. You have to look at, 9 months down the road at like around the due date. Women do that. It's like, oh, if I'm going to get pregnant now, then in 9 months, this is when I'll be due. And then I got to kind of plan around that time period for like rest or a break or whatever. Even though you don't know what to expect, you just know you'll need a break. And that was kind of causing some stress and anxiety, and I was advised by my loving mother. She was like, "Don't try to plan for that. Like life is going to happen how it happens." And so for a couple of months I was declining potential jobs around my desired due date time, and then I wasn't getting pregnant, and it was just like, okay, this is too stressful. I'm just going to let life happen. Okay. So I started accepting jobs. And then lo and behold, I did book a few weddings around what ended up being my due date, because I did find out I was pregnant eventually. And then I had to cancel some weddings. And that was, I think that's a fear. I don't want to say a fear, but maybe a hindrance for people. It's like, okay, how would I even start to plan when I would work? And I don't want to have to cancel weddings, because it is heartbreaking to have to cancel a wedding. And we're going to talk about that during the episode. But one thing that I learned, and I would love to share with anybody who is kind of on the fence there, is my mother was absolutely right. You can't plan every part of your life, and you can't. I wouldn't recommend that you stress about it, because stress is one of the biggest factors of if you have issues getting pregnant. It's stress and anxiety hurts your chances. And so you really have to be restful and in a peaceful place. And that all of that factors into fertility. But anyway, just don't like cancel jobs or don't decline jobs for a hypothetical around a hypothetical due date. It's better to just take life in swing and book those jobs and then reach out and say, "Oh, something happened. I'm so sorry." And so that's basically what I did. And now I've had 4 children, and we actually miscarried last year. We got pregnant. Oh my gosh, it was a surprise when my youngest daughter was 6 months old. Got pregnant, and that was a surprise. It wasn't really planned, and turns out right around that due date, I had I actually had a bunch of weddings booked because it was an October due date. But I had 2 international weddings that were booked that I had to cancel. One was in Scotland and one was in Assisi in Italy. And I've been to Assisi. It's beautiful. So I was very bummed. I waited. Let's see. There's a bunch of things that I want to talk about, and I'm kind of going in candidly for this episode, but I will go ahead and tell this story because I think it's important, and it ties in with the message I was just getting at, like let life happen, right? For each of the pregnancies, I waited 12 weeks just in case, quote unquote, right? Earlier miscarriages happen earlier in the first trimester. They're more likely to happen first trimester. So I waited 12 weeks. When I hit that 12-week mark, I would email the clients that I had booked around that date, whatever weddings I decided I really shouldn't take that job. I really shouldn't be working on this particular date or at this particular location. I really can't get on a plane 9 months pregnant, that kind of thing. And then I reached out to them, and in a moment, I will actually read the message that that I curated years ago that I still use because the framework I feel is the most successful in order to translate the need to cancel for this particular reason. But anyway, last year I did cancel. Was it last year? When did I get pregnant? Yes, it was. It was last year. God, time is like a jumble to me these days. Everything's a jumble to me these days, but that's postpartum for you. But anyway, 12 weeks on Monday of my 12th week, I emailed. I was not wanting to do this. I put it off as long as I could, but you do want to give your clients an opportunity as much time as possible to either replace you as a wedding painter or to apply the funds to something else. You want to give them a chance. You don't want to wait too long, okay? Because this is a bride planning her wedding. And if you're a vendor and she's hired you, it will be so heartbreaking to receive the news that you'll have to cancel. I mean, ugh, I hate doing it. It makes me sick to my stomach. But I've had to do this a couple of times for each pregnancy, and it never gets easier. But I also have kept jobs too soon postpartum. Like after my second, I did a wedding 2 weeks postpartum, and I should not have. I was well, if you will. Like I didn't have a hard postpartum period, but it was, I was kind of hard to stand and sit, and I was uncomfortable, and it was too soon. It was too fresh. So I learned that lesson. But Monday of that 12th week, I emailed all of the clients. I think I had to cancel 5 weddings. Oh, sidebar, having to return 5 deposits or payments for 5 weddings. That hurt. That's something else that you can't plan for, you don't really expect to have happen, but this is a really good point. Is a good reminder to have a holding account. So if you are taking deposits or retainers, I take retainers, I call them retainers. If you're going to take retainers from your clients when they sign a contract, then you want to put that money in a holding account, not an active operations account or something that you're spending out of frequently, just in case you have to cancel not just one but a handful of weddings because something happens in your life that requires you to cancel those jobs. So this is my advice: put a number like deposits, a lump sum, like keep some money in a holding account in case you have to make returns for this reason. The year 2020, a lot of returns were made uh, in that year for obvious reasons. If you'll recall, a lot of weddings were canceled, a lot of plans were changed and canceled, and I returned a lot of retainers that year. I didn't have to, but I did. And so, anyway, long story short, had to cancel a couple of weddings, and then 2 days later, I went in for my 12-week appointment, and there was no heartbeat. And you know, life life happens. You obviously don't plan for things like that to happen, and you can wait 12 weeks. You can wait as long as you think is appropriate. And, it was just a reminder of what little control we have over our plans. And anyway, that was March of last year of 2024. And then we were fortunate enough to get pregnant at the end of December. And so we welcomed baby Michael, our fourth child, in September. Now, I could have reached out to those clients and said, "Psych, just kidding. I'm now available on your date." But that felt weird. That felt, I didn't want to do that. So I just kept the date. I just kept the date available. I didn't want to book anything. And then my husband and I ended up taking a trip to Greece in October around the due date and spent some time together. And it was healing, and it was nice to be out of the house and not think about, what was supposed to happen that week. So my advice to you is just to go with it. If you've got a booking, take it. And then if you have to cancel, then deal with it. But I did want to read through the verbiage and kind of break down the format of that email for anyone interested. And if you'd like kind of a templated version, email us at hello@thecomposedartist.com, and we'll be happy to send that to you. Okay, so here's how I format. Hi, bride. Let's call her Sarah. Hi, Sarah. I hope you've had a wonderful year and engagement so far. I have bittersweet news to share with you, and I deeply apologize if this email dampens your day. So, in that introduction, I've addressed the point that this is a joyful time, and I'm very excited and happy for them. But I use the word bittersweet because it is a good thing, being pregnant, anticipating the birth of a new child, new life, is a good thing. This is a good thing. I'm acknowledging it, and I want her to be aware of that. I'm not like, I want her to acknowledge it as well. But it is bitter because, it means there's something bad news too is coming. So I liked that term, and that's what I've used for every cancellation email for this reason, and I think it helps. If you are listening to the podcast and you are a bride that I've had to that you've received this email, please know that it broke my heart to send this to you, and you've been listening so far. I am taking life in stride, and I'm sorry I wasn't able to make it for your wedding. Anywho, so you move on to the next part, the good news. We were very surprised and are adjusting to the news that we are expecting a baby number 1, 2, 3, whatever. While we are, of course, excited, we are consequently having to change or cancel plans between, and then put like a 3-month period of time around your due date, making it very obvious to them where this is going. That means that unfortunately I won't be available. I won't be able to work your wedding, to be there on your wedding date and then state the date. I waited as long as I could to tell you, but wanted to tell you ASAP to give you a chance to hire someone else to paint at your wedding if you want to. Okay. I waited as long as I could, which insinuates that, I did give it some time just in case something happened, and then the email would be unnecessary, if you know what I mean. But I did want to email you as soon as possible, so that shows consideration. Now here's what I do. And if you're a live wedding painter, you can have a different policy. But what I do, obviously, I've known I've been pregnant for the past couple of weeks. So in that time period, I have put out in Facebook groups of live wedding painters, or I've reached out directly to people that I know in the industry who are either located conveniently to the area of the cancellation or have a similar style. Or for whatever reason, reach out to people that I just have their phone numbers and I can text very quickly, see if they're available. I'll put it in the Facebook group. Are you available for a wedding on this date, this location? I'm already booked. I have to cancel. I don't want to. And I'm looking for a seamless transaction, if that makes sense, a seamless shift, transfer of the deposit or the date. I want to be able to hand my client an available and reputable replacement. So I do that legwork before I send this email, and I make sure that the person is either I know them and they're reputable, or I at least can look at their website and I may even have a conversation with them to break the ice, whatever. But I make sure they're available, and that way I can send them to the client and say, hey, in fact, I've already confirmed with a few trusted friends and fellow live painters the names, the email, the websites and the Instagram accounts of a few, like up to 3 live wedding painters who are available. Okay. That means that it takes a burden off of them. Like, okay, well, who am I going to find 6 months out? Here you go. Here's some people that I recommend, someone that they are me, who they have trusted already, to do the job. I can lend that trust and credibility and say, I would recommend these people as a replacement. And then I address the next concern, which is the money. Okay. As per the contract, you will receive funds of all payments already made. So that includes the retainer and any other payments made. Uh, you can, and then I offer options for what they can do with that money. You can hang on to it and use it elsewhere. So you can apply it to another vendor. You can invite 10 more people to the wedding, whatever. Or you can direct it to another artist. So take it from me and direct it to another vendor and then never worry about the live painter situation. Or if you really wanted me to do the painting and you prefer that I do the painting in the end, that's the verbiage I use, you are absolutely welcome to commission a painting after the ceremony, which I would complete in my studio from photo references taken at the wedding. Let me know if you want more information about this service. So that's 3 options. They are reminded that they can keep the money. So the money that they've already emotionally spent on this vendor, on me, it's like finding a pile of money. Okay, we can use this for something else. Maybe they get in a car accident and need to fix their car or whatever. Like it, so that's kind of a reassurance, like, oh, okay, we actually really need that money, whatever. You could transfer it to another vendor. Here are some I've lined up. And then also, yeah, but I really wanted you to do it. Okay, I could still do it happily. I just can't be there on that day. So those are 3 options. I like options. I like offering options that are qualified. Okay. And then I wrap it up with a reminder that they're not the only one. Like I'm not just out to hurt this. It's not about them. I start the email with um, reminder of the good thing that's happening, like maybe the pro to all of this, which is a new life, and then remind them I have to cancel with a few other brides as well, and it's breaking my heart to disappoint you all. Okay, so it's not just them. I'm not just picking them and canceling their wedding. It's like everybody that I have booked that month, I have to cancel because I'm literally going to be delivering a baby. Sometimes if you have a good rapport with somebody, you can make a phone call, but I like the email route because it allows, you can send it and then it allows the client to process their emotions privately. Okay. Maybe a phone call would be more personal. I always offer a phone call if they have questions or if they're just really upset and they just want to fuss me, that's fine. But this way they can process that on their own time and then respond however they want to with, sometimes they've been really short and kind of upset, which I wouldn't blame them. A vendor just canceled on them for their wedding. That's very upsetting. And some people have been like, oh, I'm so sorry, but oh my gosh, yay, new baby. And most people have been like that. And then I think I've only done one or two. I think only 1 or 2 people have said, hang on to the retainer. We want to commission a painting from you after the wedding. And I did the painting after and it was glorious, amazing. But most people are like, could you just send the money back? Thank you. And we'll check out these recommendations. So, it's not the end of the world if you have to cancel a wedding. Okay. The earlier you do it, the better. The more helpful you are to the clients, the better. But if just addressing the the hindrance that people may feel, if you feel that way, or if you're discerning whether or not you want to start a family. This is how I have cleared my schedule and had these tough conversations with clients, in order to make the space and set certain boundaries for myself and for the family. Okay. Fellow entrepreneurs, listen up. Let's talk about protecting your business. We all know that having a solid contract is essential, but drafting them is daunting and can be very expensive. I'm an artist, I'm not a lawyer for a reason. That's where the legal page comes in. The legal page offers attorney drafted contract templates tailored for creatives and small business owners like you and me. Whether you're a photographer, an artist, a business coach, a designer, or an event planner, or what have you, they've got you covered. These templates are easy to customize and come with very clear instructions that include free future updates. That's huge. I was honored to be asked to review their live event artist contract, and it checks all the boxes for me. Don't leave your business vulnerable. Invest in peace of mind with the Legal Pages contract templates. So, if you're ready to get your business legally legit, head to the show notes and click the link to save 10% off any product in the shop, or use my code StephanieG10. Again, get your business legally legit with a Legal Page contract today. Now, one last thing before I move on from the topic of like canceling weddings. In the past, I am very fortunate to have had very healthy pregnancies, and very fortunate to have had healthy and quick recovery periods postpartum. Okay. I have kept jobs up to 1 month before my due date. So, I guess that means like right when I turn 9 months. I think I've flown in an airplane 8.5 months pregnant, so about 6 weeks before my due date. I did that, I think, for my third, and I was like, okay, oh, this is hurting my back. This is like physically, I was tapped, I was exhausted, and so for my this last baby, I had a wedding in July, so I was due in September, and I had a wedding in July, and I decided to cancel that one, and I was like, I really this is going to be pushing it. So I did decide to cancel that one. Plus, it was like smack dab in the middle of the summer. And like I said, I've got all these kids and they're home for the summer, a lot of them. And so this is, I opted to cancel that one. It's up to you. Okay. Each cancellation is going to be emotionally difficult. And so think about it. Think about it good and hard, how important it is to either keep a booking or let it go. Okay. And then, like I said, the soonest I've ever gone back to work after giving birth is 2 weeks. Ugh. I feel good. I feel ready to get back to work like 4 or 5 weeks after. Personally, I all of my babies have gone late. I've always been a week late, delivered a week after my due date. Michael was born 2 weeks after his due date. And so if I were to keep a booking 4 weeks, about a month after my due date, then I am risking having to go back to work 2 or 3 weeks out. So I think, let's see, let me do the math. I delivered him on September 18th, and the next wedding I did this year after having my baby was on October 18th. So it worked out that it was exactly a month later. And I'll be honest, I was ready. I was very excited to hand the baby to a babysitter who would then hand him to his father. Everybody at the wedding who knew I had just had a baby was asking, "Who's got the kids?" Their dad. They are with their father tonight. And he is a very hands on, very wonderful partner, husband, father. And I couldn't do it without him, honestly. Having a good support system it's detrimental to your peace of mind, your healing, your success. And I'm so grateful. And it's been tough in the past. 2020 was really tough for us. It's tough for everybody, obviously, but right now we're in a groove, and I'm very grateful to have him. And then we have a consistent, reliable babysitter who is also the best, and have had sitters come and go in the past. We have our family. Both sides of our family lives about an hour away, and so we don't necessarily have a grandma who lives down the road. So if they want to be helpful, or if we need them to, we have to just be intentional with planning. Some people have their mom or their grandma, the child's grandmother, right down the road and they can be helpful, hands-on. And that's a blessing, trust me. So anyway, that's our situation. And then I decided to keep 3 back-to-back bookings, the 18th, the 25th, and the November 1st. And then I'm done for the year. Woo! So that's what my current schedule looks like for the fall of 2025 today. I could have booked more weddings and worked more and earned more, but I decided that it was close to the holidays. I really wanted to enjoy my baby being a baby because they're not babies for long. And I love this period of time. I love this chapter, this newborn chapter. And I could have canceled the 3 weddings that I had because I did cancel a few earlier in October. But I didn't I didn't want to cancel the ones that I kept. Mainly, number 1, because I didn't want to disappoint all these people. Oh my gosh. Second, runner up mainly. The last wedding that I did this year was in June 14th. I did not want to go 6 months from June to January, which was when my next wedding is in the new year. I didn't want to go 6 months without doing the job. I didn't want to get rusty. It's not like I forget. I always joke like, "Oh, I hope I don't forget how to do the job." Honestly, the job is hard enough as it is. A lot of pressure, remembering your process, like how you sculpt a face, that kind of thing, how you layer the confidence with which you mix a color and apply it and move on, your decision making skills, and then also on top of that, being sleep deprived and rusty up here in the noggin. It's you don't want to let too much time go by. You want the consistency of the bookings. You want to keep up the momentum that you have. Keep practicing, kind of thing. And so that's why. That's a very important reason why I kept those 3 weddings. If you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, if you're watching the video, I've got them, all 3 of the weddings, the paintings that I did recently, got them hanging on the wall. Very proud of them. The one that I did right on October 18th, the next one that I did after the birth, I felt rusty, but only because the timing wasn't in my favor. Okay. It was a first dance, and I wasn't able to get the reference photos until later in the night. And then I had like 2 hours to paint all the people. And it wasn't the client's fault. And it wasn't my fault either. I wasn't wasting time. I was painting the whole time. I was painting details all over. But just the timing of the evening, by the time that they came down and did their first dance, and then I was able to get the reference photo, get approval for it, come back, get it sketched out, and then paint both of their portraits and then both sets of their parents. And all during this time, I had not taken a break to pump. And in case you didn't know, if you're trying to keep up with the production of milk and nurse, you have to either nurse or pump every 2 to 3 hours, especially in the early stages of postpartum, to keep up that milk supply. And it had been like 5 hours. And so I was in so much pain. It's very painful because you fill up and it throbs, it's just very painful to not pump, not get that out. But I was in the middle of painting and I was like, well, I can't stop now because the reception is going to end in an hour. So I either keep painting and achieve what I came here to achieve, which is painting all these portraits, or I stop and go sit in my car and pump for 20 or 30 minutes and then come back and then feel rushed. So here's what I did. I kept painting. I got the portraits in. I covered the whole canvas. Okay. So when you look at it, you're like, that looks great. You may be able to glance over my shoulder. The painting is full. The composition is there. But there's a lot of details in the background that I wasn't able to finish. And then the parents' portraits they're in there, but they're rough. They're roughed in. So I definitely need to go in and fine tune some of the things in the painting. But I stopped 30 minutes before the party ended. I told the manager of the venue, who I know I've painted there many times, I was like, if anyone needs me or looking for me, I'm going out to my car. I need to pump. Like they know me. They knew I was postpartum. But anyway, I came back in time to take photos and get the reaction from the couple and talk to people and kind of just be there to answer questions or continue entertaining, but I was done painting for the night. That's how it happened. That's what I chose to do. And that's how I chose to end the job by telling myself, you achieved what you came here to achieve, which is you've painted the people in. They see themselves. They can be happy and satisfied with that they made it and it looks good. And then also you've taken care of yourself physically, and then you can touch it up in the studio, no problem at all. And was able to end the night peacefully, like satisfied, happy with the job that I did, even though it wasn't maybe up to snuff to detail wise for what I try to achieve. You may have heard me talk about my little side business, my little fine art print shop. I create an original painting, I take a photo of it, and I print it, and I print it again and again and again. I make hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars a year on prints. It's so easy. And I learned everything I know about creating my own prints and printing them in-house from Laurie Ann Gonzalez and her Art to Print course. I highly recommend, if you are an artist and you want to make easy money from your original works and even the commission works, you can resell those as prints. I recommend you check out Art to Print. Laurie Ann has a very direct way of teaching, and you are really going to appreciate her no fluff method of giving you information and telling you exactly what you need to do to make making fine art prints in your own studio a breeze. You can check her out online at learn.laurieannart.com. That's learn at LAURIEANNEART.com, or just click the link in the show notes for my affiliate link. Check her out and thank me later. Okay, so that is how the 3 weddings that I did this year, how they worked out. The next 2, actually, they upgraded the canvas sizes. So at first, all 3 of them were the same size, and then the second one upgraded in size to my next size up, the 24 by 36, and then the third one bumped up to the 30 by 40. But somehow it's like, okay, I got through that first one after I had the baby, and now I was kind of on a roll. And so I'm very much looking forward to my next wedding, which is in January. I hope y'all are enjoying this episode. I feel very much like I'm chatting with some girlfriends and just sharing how the past couple of months have been and what's on my mind and what's on my heart. And sometimes this podcast, I'm going on a little personal tangent here. Sometimes this feels very formal and very professional, if you will, especially when I'm doing interviews. And then there's this pressure to, I guess, be professional and get the point across when I do solo episodes. But this one has been, yeah, just feeling very much like a catch up. This is what's been going on. So what we've talked about so far, what I've gone over is the experience of, planning, family planning, trying to plan getting pregnant and then canceling when you do get pregnant and you're looking at a due date, having to cancel jobs that you have in the calendar. How I do that, you can do it however you want, but I think tone is important. And I think delivering the message via email is also important because you allow the client to process that the emotions of a cancellation privately. I kind of want to talk about working while pregnant. I have recorded an episode. It's episode 43. I think it's titled Mom on the Move or something. And that episode is about how I travel as either a mom or a pregnant lady, how I travel. Okay. So if you want to go like hear in more depth how I travel as being pregnant or postpartum, that's a great episode. It's episode 43. But let's see, how do I want to talk about this, you guys? Working while pregnant. You get bigger, your body changes. The stress, if you're lucky and you don't have joint issues or varicose veins or other pregnancy related physical side effects, and you're fairly healthy, even if all of those things happen, you're still gaining weight and you still need the sleep and you still need to take in a lot of calories and drink a lot of water and take a lot of bathroom breaks. And it's not just, it's already a tough job being a live wedding painter, standing there and performing essentially, and also creating a masterpiece in a short amount of time under the duress of observing eyes, late at night. Shall I go on? It's a tough job. And then do that while pregnant it's a big ask. It's tough, but if you enjoy the work And if it is a thrill and a rush and an adrenaline rush like it is for me, then you can do it. You totally can do it. And, like I said, take life in stride. If you feel like you can't do it anymore, then that counts as like a physical limitation, or even, I don't want to call it an illness or a sickness, but like if you catch the flu the day of a wedding, you don't want to go to that wedding. You don't want to do that job. Your clients hopefully would not want you to bring all of that to their wedding. And so tough calls need to be made. And anyway, do what's best for you in the moment. But you can plan to work, to do the job while pregnant. Totally possible. You can travel as well. Now, postpartum, you considering your family history, if this is your first pregnancy, considering your own health, considering just consider how much time you think you may need. If you're high risk, if it's twins, if you for whatever reason, if you feel like you may need more time, then give yourself more time after the due date. If you feel like you can take on the world and you're having a great pregnancy and everything is seemingly going very well, then maybe you keep some jobs a little bit sooner. That's what I did, and I was fortunate to be able to recover. um I mean, it's to recover quickly and easily. And the worst part is sleep deprivation, which really is hard. It's hard to work. It's hard to be awake. It's hard to be creative, and muscle through sometimes when you're so exhausted. So that is really tough. But other things can set you back too. So keep that in mind. And then also depending on the time of year, if you're having a baby in December, don't work in December. December is full of family and holidays, traveling. It's dead of winter, so illnesses. Like, give yourself a bigger buffer space, that kind of thing. Think about what your life may look like and what your schedule may look like. And also, if you're listening and you're not quite sure you want to work as much as possible, but you're not sure what you should block off, or what boundaries you should set for yourself, I would recommend that you consider not working on most holidays, because you never know what's going to happen. Even if you don't do family things, even if you're not like a family get together type of person, you never know what you're going to get invited to and then have to miss out on. And it's important to have a personal and social life. It really is, especially if you're in a relationship. Events and days that are important to your partner, you don't want to brush off. You want to be available, if you can, as much as possible, and also take as many jobs as you want to, right? So consider like your calendar when you're booking out. And then if you've never had children before, then those holidays you wouldn't mind working on Easter or working on the 4th of July or whatever. Once you start having kids, these holidays are going to be more meaningful. And then you're going to want to be home with your family, with your children, with your child. You're going to regret missing those things. Um, and if you don't, then great. I do. I have, let me put it this way. I have never regretted canceling a wedding when that day kind of came around. It's always hard to cancel a wedding, but I have never been at a family event or been, at the 4th of July, whatever. I've never um, been sitting around boohooing because I wish I would have kept that job, no matter how extravagant, no matter like that Scotland wedding. Ooh. Yes, I would love to go to Scotland. I would have loved to have been there for that couple. I was so excited to work for that couple. But when that day came, I did not regret not being there. Okay. I have been at a wedding and have been so sad or so upset with myself for not canceling that wedding, if that makes sense. And I hope it doesn't make me sound insensitive, because I absolutely love my job. If you've been listening, if you know who I am, if you get a sense for who I am, I love what I do. And I love the people that I get to serve with wedding paintings and artwork, things like that. I'm a little bit more intentional with blocking off certain days on my calendar for my family because of past experiences when I didn't and I kept those jobs. So, priorities. Prioritize your family. You'll never regret it. Consider the income fluctuation. Okay. Whenever you are not working, maybe you have been intentional about planning payment due dates for either upcoming weddings or weddings that you have after the birth, weddings next year. Maybe you plan a period of time where you're going to work really hard in the studio and do commissions, something like that. Maybe you plan payments to be coming in during your maternity leave so that it's not completely a dry spell of income when you're not working weddings, when you really are resting, which you need to do. Likely you don't have a maternity leave paycheck coming in. You don't have paid leave. You're an independent artist. So where's the money going to come from? Do you want to work really hard those last couple of months? I have a bunch of friends who do the original work and commissions, and they work really hard 6 months, 6, 7, and 8 of pregnancy. They work really hard while they're pregnant, make a lot of money, and then are able to rest easy for 3, 4 months, whatever, and without making a dime. Okay. Are you going to run ads for prints or um, promote commission sales or original sales or whatever for 2 months after the birth so that, like, how are you going to plan your income ahead of time? Okay. Your offerings, promotions, sales, things like that. Think about that ahead of time as well. And then being intentional about upcoming seasons. I knew that I didn't want to work the fall season is really tough for me because I love to do commissions, but because I use oils and in the studio, especially as live painting, and because I do ship a lot of artwork, I need to promote Christmas portrait commissions in August and open them in August so that I can start them in September and have them all done by November so that they can dry over the 2 to 4 weeks before the beginning of December so that I can ship them before the middle of December. They can arrive to their destinations before December 15th so that they can be handed and delivered for Christmas. Like I have to kind of back time up. I also have an episode about planning for the holidays. I don't recall what episode it is, but just go scroll back through Spotify or Apple Podcasts. You'll find it. Preparing for the holiday season. So when are you due? What holidays are around that time that you can capitalize on ahead of time and either have like an income pop with sales and commissions, or be considerate of like promotions, get deposits during your maternity leave, and then have a nice long queue lined up in the studio for when you return to work. So being intentional about that, it's just really helpful, and it allows you to enjoy the break because you have either been very prepared ahead of time and now you can kind of ride it out, or that the work, like the creative outlet, is right around the corner. Right now, personally, I'm feeling a little, what's the word I'm looking for? I want to paint. That's the word I'm looking for. I have things that I want to paint. I really wanted to accept some little portrait commissions in November, but here we are. We're halfway through November, and it's just too late. If I try now, I only have childcare. I have a nanny come in twice a week. Intentionally twice a week. I'm sharing a nanny with my best friend who also had a baby recently, and she has her 3 days a week. I have her 2 days a week for now because I don't want to work. I want to be forced to be nap trapped, which means my infant has fallen asleep on my chest and I just can't put him down, right? I want that. I want to be able to pick my kids up through carpool at 3 instead of aftercare at 5. I want to spend more time with my kids and be more mom than tucked away in my studio or gone. That's what I want right now because I'm going to regret missing this time. So that's what I want. And then in January, I am going to dive in because I open the Wedding Painter's Blueprint. I open my online course for enrollment in February. So we are hitting the ground running, and I have my nanny full time, 5 days a week after that. So these are things that I thought about ahead of time, and here we are. It's fine. even though I really want to paint. I miss it. I'm itching. I'm recording this episode because I really want to get this out there. Because it's been 7 weeks. I wanted to record this 5 weeks ago. I'm am here to answer questions. Obviously, nobody's going to ask them to me now, but if you do have a question that I haven't answered, or a topic I haven't addressed, regarding postpartum or family planning as a wedding painter, please email me at hello@thecomposedartist.com or the Composed Artist on Instagram. Shoot me a DM and I'll respond there, or take it to and make a new episode and answer your question here. I wish somebody would have been transparent, somebody else maybe who walked in this journey of motherhood, would have kind of shared their story and their experience, so I could have listened. So maybe I could have been more prepared the first few times I did this. um maternity leave, plan for income. I've got a whole list. It just sounds unorganized. Oh, and then the biggest change of all, you aren't just pregnant for a time and then on maternity leave for a time and then everything goes back to normal. You have a new normal now. You have a child. And in my case, I have 4 children now. And those other kids that I had a couple years ago, they are in school now. They have homework, they have sports, they have interests, they have needs, like conversations. Like they need their mom, and in a way that my infant doesn't. And my infant needs me in a way that my 6-year-old doesn't. And they all need me. And I'm there for them. I want to be there for them. And so the 24-year-old girl, Stephanie, who would sleep until 10 because I'm a business owner and I could do what I want, but then realize, oh crap, nobody's paying me unless I work. So then I work until 3 o'clock in the morning, just going with the creative flow and hustling and painting late at night, and just pouring everything into the business, pouring everything into the paintings, taking risks. um, that person has changed and evolved. And so how I spend my time, I have to be very intentional about that. I have to trust that concept of the someday shelf. I've talked about that a lot on the podcast. If I have an idea, if there's something creative that I want to do and I can't do it right now just yet, I can't, it doesn't mean I have to drop it and forget it. Um, I can put it on my someday shelf. I see it right there. It's a shelf in my mind where it's like, someday I'm going to do this. It's important. It's fun. It'll be profitable, maybe. Someday I'm going to do that. I recently mentioned that I'll be showing a collection of my original paintings that haven't been created yet, but I've committed to showing a collection of originals at the Orleans Gallery in New Orleans. My friend Cayman Clevenger owns the gallery. And in July of 2026, I will have a body of work for sale at a gallery. That's something I've been wanting to do for years. And so now I'm making time in the spring to create the body of work to sell and pour my heart into original paintings. I think about this so much. I fall asleep at night thinking about what I want to paint, how I want to paint it, what I want to play with. I've spent years waiting for the time to pull that idea off the shelf and make it a reality. My online course, this podcast, these concepts, these plans, these projects were on my someday shelf for years until it was the right time to take them down and tackle them. And I'm so glad that I had the patience and the hope in the future, and the faith that it's okay to focus on the task at hand right now, because this other like shiny object, this idea, I'll get to it. There's going to be a better time to do it than now. I want to travel. I just had a baby. I can't do that right now. That doesn't make sense, and it's a horrible idea. But it doesn't mean that I'll never be able to travel again, right? I need to put that idea, that desire on my someday shelf, and then focus on the time that I have now, the time that I have been yearning for, this time with a new baby. Um, I don't know if you can tell, I love being a mom. I love having babies. And yeah, I'm just really glad that I was able to plan and prepare, learn lessons from past mistakes, past pregnancies, and, getting back to work too soon, learn lessons, and then apply those lessons and have a really enjoyable experience this time around. So that has been I keep looking down at my notes. I think I've gotten through all the points. That is my experience, family planning, being pregnant and working. Again, revisit episode 43. That's a good one. Being on maternity leave. All my kids are doing really well. I'm doing well. I'm excited to paint again, but I am more importantly satisfied not being in this studio every day and looking at blank canvases and looking at the stack of panels that I know what I want to paint. Um, Looking at them and being okay with closing the door and focusing on the family and the pile of laundry that I have to go tackle so that we have clean socks for tomorrow. Life is good. Life is good where I'm at. Life is good. There are good things, the good parts about life where you're at. And if you're considering starting a family, do it. If you're married in a stable relationship and you are hesitant your life will change when you have kids. I've mentioned it before, and it's a topic that I would really love to discuss with a man on this podcast. But I would love to talk with an independent artist who is a man, who is a father, also the provider of a family doing this job. If you are one or you know someone, please shoot me a DM so that I can reach out and have them on the podcast, because I know what it's like being a mother and juggling the desire to create and the desire to be here in this studio, but also be pulled back into the home and all of the duties of a mother. I would love to hear the perspective of a father. Sometimes I'm very jealous. I have to be honest. Sometimes I find myself being envious of the dads because, yes, they have that desire to be there, but the role of doing laundry and being the default primary parent, if you will, that is not their role. And so if it is the man's job to paint, then his wife will likely be supportive of him working like without interruption. And honestly, the dads don't have to breastfeed, so that alone is like, how's that? What's that like, not having to stop every 2 to 3 hours? Oh, I would love to interview a dad. Just putting that out there in the universe. I'd love to interview some guys. Anyway, thank you so much for sticking around. I love this topic. Obviously, I'm living it. So if you want to learn more, please DM me at The Composed Artist on Instagram. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. That means a lot to me. It actually helps our goals and our rankings for the podcast. It's growing slowly but steadily, and it means so much to me to see that number increase 1, 2, 3 more people every day, because it means that this information is getting out there, and that's why I'm here. I'm here to help. I'm here to share my life and experiences, and maybe bring some joy, laughter, inspiration, knowledge. Just put it out there. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you guys next week. Have a good one. Bye. Thank you for tuning in and joining us on this journey of artistic exploration, entrepreneurial growth, and personal development. Remember, you have the power to create a life that is both fulfilled and balanced. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please subscribe to The Composed Artist on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And don't forget to leave us a review. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more creatives like you. Until next time, keep creating, keep dreaming, and keep pursuing that composed life. You got this.